Number 4. The Help.
I find this hold on. I find this to be a bit of a surprise about how good this movie was. This is one of those films that I guess if I looked at it at first, it's not something I would have gone to see. But because of all the hype and all the buzz it was getting, it's like, oh, it was one of the best films of the year and whatnot. It's like I had to check it out. And yeah, it was much more of a, it's more female oriented, obviously. You're gonna get a bigger female audience in the theater, which it was. But I think this is a movie that any gender can go and see, and they'll like it and understand it. The movie itself, I didn't particularly care for the beginning of the story, because I felt like I wasn't sure where they were going with it, because it seemed like it was, they were going to do it with this direction, and they went in a completely different other direction. It kind of left me a little confused. But it's not like you can't get into the story. It's not like you don't feel for the story, because you do. It's very good with putting it in that particular time. But really the movie's strongest point is the performances. It is a very great ensemble to watch and see. Actually, I would go off and say that this movie could be used for for acting classes. I think it will be. But that, it's just me. Anyway, as I said, it's a great ensemble. There's a lot of great performances. Actually, one of the more surprising ones for me was Bryce Dallas Howard. Her character in this was such a bitch, and it's like, you just feel like you want to see this woman just get it at the end, and I guess in the long run it does. I'm not telling you how, but it does. But her performance was just completely believable, and I was impressed with that. And she's just one of the actresses who did such a great job in this film. So it's a very impressive film when it comes to the likes of acting. It's a great ensemble. That's all the more reason to go see this film. You should go and see it. And as I said earlier, you do not need to be just a woman to see this film. It's a good film to see for the likes of gender issues and historic issues as well. And also it's a film that I think anyone can get into. So you know what? You can go see The Help. If I can go see it, you can go see it.
Number 3. Thor.
Definitely a big surprise when it comes to this summer. I have no idea why, the movie was, so, I don't want to say underplayed, but, it just undermined about how good this film was going to be. The movie was a great way to kick off the summer. It was a very different superhero film and the likes of the idea of it being a superhero. And the film just has some good performances. It has, I remember his name, Chris Hemsworth, playing Thor. He was Thor. Bottom line, I've said that before in other previous videos and podcasts, but, he was Thor. And I was also impressed with the character development of Loki, because, he was probably one of the better villains they've had come out in Marvel Studios. And again, their list of villains are actually really good in both character development and acting. But he, in a sense, was kind of like the Joker. You weren't really sure what his methods were, what his intentions were. That's a better word for it. But, that Loki, as I said, is a very impressive villain. It's just one of the other great things about the movie Thor. Let me think about this. The film has a great supporting cast with the likes of Natalie Portman and Stellan Skarsgård. He has a very strange last name and I can't say it half the time. And not only that, but Anthony Hopkins, who I've heard on record for other critics and such that this is one of his better performances in recent memories. And I think this is I'll have to agree with that. Not one of his better ones, not definitely his best. One of his better ones, yes. I know that sounds really confusing, but I'm trying to sum this up. It is one of his better ones in recent memory. So yes, I agree with the other sources. Now that sounds really confusing. But the movie, as I said, it's very different from most superhero films. It was a great way to start the summer. It's got all kinds of things about it. It's a great film to look at. And it will be coming out in, I think, a couple of weeks. It comes in closer to the end of September. That will definitely be a big film to get when it comes out on DVD.
Number 2. Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows.
Well, what else can I say about Harry Potter? I think I've talked a lot about it over the past couple of months. I've done my review on this, which you can see on the internet, so I guess I don't have to go into this, but I guess the big surprise is that this is one of the best films of the summer. Not only that, it's probably one of the best films of the year. It was a great way to end the series. Now, I've said that before, it was a culmination of storytelling and acting and all kinds of things. But there's a reason why it's not my number one. I guess in a technicality, I can't really go off and say that. I can't really give it number one because technically I'm counting Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows when in fact what came out this summer was Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2. So technically I can't really put... I can count it, but I can't really, I guess because there's two different films, and even though I say that the films are it's just one big film, I guess on a technicality, I can't give the number one. That's why it's not number one. That and the other, number one, I guess could understandably beat this one, but I'll get into that in just a little bit. We go on a little bit about Harry Potter. As I said, I've talked a lot about it, but I think there's a couple things I didn't talk about in my review. For one thing, I didn't talk about the music, which is upsetting because I really love the soundtracks of the Harry Potter films, and I have gone on record in saying that Alexander Desplat is the second best composer to the Harry Potter franchise. I was impressed with Part 1's soundtrack, and Part 2 was that much more impressive. When I listened to the whole thing again, I actually listened to the whole thing like 2 times in a row because it was so good. I had to listen to it a couple of times. But as I said, the music has always been impressive, and in fact they used other tracks from previous movies, which was great to hear because that kind of brings the movie full circle in the light of music. And the other thing I didn't talk about, which for the lack of spoilers is the reason why I didn't bring it up, was the ending of the film. The ending to the film, that sounds like a sensible person would say, doesn't it? But the ending and epilogue is, I remember a couple months ago, I remember it was months or years, or a year or so ago, watching the movies again, and I said to myself, with the first movie, this is how the last one has to end. It is how it should be done, and if it does, it would be perfect. Not just in just what's going on in the scene, but music as well. And as soon as that last scene came on, and I heard that music, I was very pleased, to say the least. Because that is exactly how I called it, and it's exactly how it should have been done. And I was impressed with that. But yeah, that would be Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, taking the number 2 spot on my list. It was a great film. I cannot wait when it comes out on DVD. And then you're going to have that whole, the whole collection and whatnot. But, anyway, it's a great film to watch. It's a better film to watch if you are watching both parts. And, yeah. That's all I'm going to say on this right now.
And the number 1 movie of the summer is X-Men First Class.
Without a shadow of a doubt, this was the biggest surprise for me this summer. This movie blew me away. I mean, originally, when I heard about the movie, I wasn't sure what to think because first of all, the director, he just got done with Kick-Ass. I didn't like that film. I was just really disappointed with that. And then I heard what they were doing for this film. I was like, what is going on? It's like continuity has just been shot out the door. It's like, what's going on with this film? And then I saw the trailers and I was like, it could be fun. I mean, it could be something interesting. It could have particular elements that would work. It may not be amazing, but it could be something interesting to watch. Then the film came out. And now, for me, it is now one of the best superhero films ever made. It is just, it's so different from all the other superhero films that, you know, it has to be seen. And, you know, I guess some of the issues I've heard about it, I mean, what people have told me is that they didn't, you know, they weren't sure what to think about this film and comparing it with the other X-Men films that have come out. My thoughts on that was, what you need to do is you can't really count this being part of the original of the X-Men trilogy and X-Men Origins Wolverine. You just have to have it be on its own. And as a standalone film, it is very impressive. It has like great different elements to it. It's got the whole vengeance story of Magneto, the whole origins behind the X-Men, where it takes place. I mean, they actually put it in a particular time, and I think it works. Particularly what was going on at that time, where it made sense. And there's a lot of great performances in this film from likes of can't remember his name right now. Can't remember Xavier's name, and there's Michael Fassbender who plays Magneto. And one of the big surprises when it comes to performances was Kevin Bacon. I mean, when I heard him casted as Sebastian Shaw, I was like, that just seems strange. And he just blew my mind away with that performance. I mean, I've never seen the man play a villain like that and have the character to be that strong. But and that's just some of the things that made this film so great. I mean, I have tried to look at this film and see, like, oh, there's got to be some kind of flaw to this film. There's got to be some kind of issue. And there's not. And if there are, they're not very strong. And they can't really take away from the overall performance of the film. But it was, you know, it had a very complex story to it. It had a great 3-act structure, great performances, and overall, one of the best superhero films you may ever see, and that is why it is number 1 on my top movies of the summer. And that does it for this top countdown video. So my question is, what were some of your favorite films of the summer? Let me know, because you know I only get like 20 or so views, and I don't have that big a fan base, so I will respond if you actually want to give me some feedback on that. But actually, I'm very curious to know what were some of your favorite movies of the summer. If there's anything different, any issue you had for my top list, let me know. Please, any feedback, comments would be nice. But that will do it right now. And Something Cinematic will be continuing this month. It'll be going on throughout the month and into the future, as well as Tim Deanna. It will all be going on starting this month. I wouldn't say immediately after like this video, but it's going to be sometime very short within this month. So expect more videos from me. Once again, thanks for watching. I'm Tim Deanna, and I hope you enjoyed this, and give me some feedback.